reporter. Dean, how are you today?
Good, Coco. How about yourself?
I'm good, thank you. A little bit nervous, but very excited to talk to you. So, tell me about your role. What do you do?
So I'm the country manager of GoodWe Australia and New Zealand. I've been at GoodWe for around about 7.5 years now.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I was with another manufacturer in the industry, and then before that, I was selling residential solar and commercial solar industry. So it's been about 15 years now in the industry,
Wow.
and yeah, it's been a long time, but it's super dynamic. It's I've always found it interesting. There's never a dull moment, um, and and yeah, the solar market's just changed so much. I would say every couple of years it changes in a big way, and so the challenge is to always, as a manufacturer, try and stay relevant, have products that the market um, enjoys. Especially from an installer perspective, and it certainly keeps us and the team really busy.
Yeah. Well, okay, I've got a few questions for you, so don't mind you answering. Okay, number one. What does you do?
What does GoodWe do?
Yeah.
So we're effectively a technology manufacturer. We manufacture solar home batteries, inverters, lightweight panels. We've got a few other sister companies as well, which includes heat pumps
Mm,
and also building integrated photovoltaics. But essentially, what we're trying to do is develop products that reduce energy bills, whether that's a homeowner or a business. So that's really our primary goal.
nice. And do you enjoy it?
I really enjoy it. Yeah, I do. Um, Once upon a time, I was a plumber, actually, before
Really?
my solar days, and I can say that I much prefer this solar industry to plumbing in a winter's environment and when everything's muddy. But no, the one thing I can say is that I really enjoy what we do.
Mm,
I've got a wonderful team, and so I get a lot of enjoyment from the team itself. And then also when you feel like you're doing something that's helping the environment or helping the planet, it gives you a really good feeling. So I'm very lucky to be working in this environment.
yeah, amazing. Okay, number two. If you were to explain an inverter to a 10-year-old, how would you explain it?
I think essentially what an inverter does, it just changes unusable energy into usable energy. And what I think a 10-year-old can understand is that when the sun hits the solar panel, it creates energy. And to
Yeah.
make that energy usable in your house, it needs to go through the inverter. So that's effectively what it's doing.
Nice. I reckon that's a good simplified version. Okay, why are batteries becoming so popular at the moment?
The reason they're becoming so popular is so that you can try and offset your nighttime usage.
Yeah.
That's probably the major benefit. Solar panels have been great to offset any daytime usage up until now.
Mm,
And the problem with batteries is that they've just been too expensive.
yeah.
And so now we've got the Cheaper Homes Battery Program. All of a sudden, that payback has come right down um, to the point where it's now viable.
Yeah.
And so we would have always loved to have installed batteries, but the cost was the only thing stopping it.
Mm,
So now you've got the solar panels. It can offset your daytime usage, and your batteries can offset your nighttime usage, and it's all really economical. And then with batteries, you get other benefits as well, which is like if you ever have a blackout, you can protect yourself from a blackout.
yeah.
And so there's all these other benefits, but the main contributor was that finally the payback period came down to what a lot of homeowners class as reasonable.
Yeah.
And over my experience in the industry, I find that whenever something gets to around about like a 5 year payback, then the homeowners or the mass market really starts to uptake it in a big way. And before that, it's either the people with the green thumb, or
Yeah.
the people that really hate the energy retailers.
Mm,
Um, but the mass market always comes when it becomes economically viable.
gotcha. Okay. Now, this is a major question, right? Can a house really run on sunshine?
It can. A house can definitely run on sunshine. but it's really important um, when we're considering whether that house is going fully off grid.
Mm.
So let's just say a house is going fully off grid and they're not connected to the grid at all. Then you need to make sure that you're sizing your battery properly.
Yeah.
And for that, most people would certainly require a bigger size battery because you certainly don't want to take the risk of just running out of power.
Yeah.
And then there's other things to consider as well, like whether you need diesel generators and these sorts of things. But what's more popular at the moment is that you keep your grid connection and you can still be fully self-sufficient. And then you've got the grid. You've got the grid as a backup if you need it.
Mm.
And yes, you're still going to be paying your supply charge,
Yeah.
but that seems to be where the sweet spot is at the moment, um, because that is really economical. And a lot of people that are going fully off grid, um, who maybe live in rural Australia, they've been quoted a huge amount of money to connect to the grid, and so it actually makes more sense to go fully off grid.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing with most of the customers, certainly in the last 6 months, is that they're getting batteries big enough to offset their nighttime usage, maybe even future-proof themselves for their electric vehicle, or they get a little bit bigger battery so that if the grid ever shuts down, they've got plenty of power to draw from while it's shut down, as opposed to being fully off grid itself.
Okay, Dean, what advice would you give to kids who want to help the environment?
I think there's a lot of advice to give, um, and we did create an Eco Smart Kids program, and our marketing manager John, who you know very well, was um, probably or certainly played the biggest role in developing that program.
Yeah.
But the idea is that there's so many things kids can do to make the environment a better place, and us as adults, there's a huge amount we can learn from that as well. And and in the Eco Smart Kids program that we showcase to the primary schools, one of the things we talk about is just little things around the house that you can do to make the environment a better place. Whether that's recycling your bottles or turning off your power when you're not needing to.
Mm.
We call them vampire devices.
Yeah.
Um, but there's a huge range of things they can do, and then the solar industry is just one of those things. And the solar industry to a lot of kids sounds really complex,
Yeah.
especially when you start talking about inverters and batteries. But in theory, it's really simple. It's
Mm.
we're just harnessing the sun. It's the biggest energy source. We're just simply harnessing the sun, and we're using that to our benefit. And it's there's no need to make it more complicated than that. But most kids understand what a battery is, and a battery just simply stores power.
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of homes are now taking up batteries. But one thing when we're traveling around and we're teaching kids about solar and all the things that they can make a difference is how much the kids actually knew. Like, we were super surprised at how much they knew. And John will attest to this. Even some of the schools we went to, some of the kids were teaching us. So
Wow.
we just assumed that we'll be teaching the kids, but we were probably learning just as much in return. And so, um, yeah, we were incredibly impressed with not only their knowledge, but also their creativity, their imagination. And a lot of these kids came up with brilliant ideas about how they could actually make the world a better place. So, that was incredibly rewarding.
Wow, that's so amazing. Was there a particular invention that you liked the most?
Oh God, that's a tough one.
You
I
remember?
don't think I could narrow it down to one, but we had kids come up with poems, come up with songs, um, hydro facilities,
Wow.
solar powered rocket ships,
Holy
um,
moly.
self sustainable agriculture setups. So yeah, it was amazing.
Lots of hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so special. Okay. If you could invent one amazing energy gadget for the future, so say 20, 30 years from now, what would it be?
Geez, that's a really good question. Um, Something that hasn't already been thought of.
You got to think
Um,
bigger picture.
I think I'm not sure exactly what it would be,
Mm.
but I think it would probably be something to help colonize something outside of our planet. So whether that's the moon or Mars, I think I think that's going to be a big part of the future, and so it would probably be some sort of solid power set up to colonize maybe the moon or Mars. So yeah, I'll have to come back to you on exactly what that'll be.
Is there a particular planet you'd prefer? Like, apart from the moon or Mars, even if Venus, you can't live on it, do you have a favorite planet where you'd particularly like to
Look,
colonize?
I don't have a favorite one. I think it'd be too far for us to get there, certainly within our lifetime, anywhere further than Mars.
Fair enough.
Um, and I think Elon had big plans to colonize Mars, but I think he might have shifted some of that to the moon just because it's a lot easier to get there, and the amount of time it takes to get to Mars, I'm not sure it's feasible in my lifetime, but maybe yours, Coco.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
My last and most important question for you. Sorry. So my last and most important question for you is if you could. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, this is really okay. My last and most important question for you is if you could give one message to kids around the world, what would it be?
that is a big question.
It is.
Um, I think my message to the kids would be um, that they probably see themselves as one of 7 or 8 billion people, and a lot of kids, like I remember when I was a kid, and the perspective sometimes was, yeah, but I'm just one person,
Mm,
so it doesn't matter what I do, but it doesn't actually make that much of a difference in the overall grand scheme of things.
yeah, true.
Um, but over the last um, 20 or 30 years, I've certainly learnt that you can have a huge impact. Just one person can have a huge impact on the environment. So I would say certainly don't underestimate how much of an impact you can have.
Yeah.
um, all the little things we spoke about before that they can do to help, but also probably the biggest lesson is the kids are the one who we need them to be educating the parents, because the kids are usually quite progressive, and sometimes as adults we can be stuck in our ways, and
Mm,
it can be hard to shift our mind frame, and so we want the kids driving this for the adults, because ultimately it's their future. So I think that they can play a huge role.
that's amazing. That's really inspirational, genuinely. I'm gonna take that on for myself. I think the exact same thing. I mean, one of the reasons why I'm so excited to be here on work experience and talking to you especially is the fact that we are the future generations. And then if I have kids of my own and they have kids of their own, like they're going to be living in this world. And if we can make an impact right now and then the generations after us, then we can make the
Yeah,
earth so much more amazing than it already was and has been.
yeah, absolutely. And sometimes when you're just by yourself, you think, oh, maybe you don't care or you can't make an impact, but then certainly once you've had kids, like myself, once
Hmm.
once I had kids, then you have a huge shift, and because you want the best possible future for them and for their grandkids,
Mm.
and so you take a different approach. And but yeah, I think the more kids that can think the way you think,
Yeah.
then certainly the world will be a better place.
Well, thank you. Okay, well, it was amazing talking to you. Had a great time. Is there anything else you'd like to add, or you're good?
No, I think that's it. I just want to, yeah, first of all, say thanks, Coco. Having you on board for the last week has been fantastic, and certainly bring a fresh approach, and you can see that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Obviously, your old man being, being hugely influential in the industry, and as a manufacturer, sometimes you can get caught up in sales or competitors or market share or these sorts of things. But one thing that Energy Matters has always done is they've always championed solar, whether that's from different manufacturers or installers or whatever, and that has a feeling of unity,
Yeah,
in my opinion. So, yeah, thanks to you, to your dad, the team at Energy Matters for always having that approach, because I think it's really wonderful for the industry.
100%. That's my biggest inspiration. So I can completely agree with you there. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, and have an amazing rest of your day.
Thanks so much, Coco.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.